Hi there, thanks for being here today. I want to talk about the fantasy self. This has been a topic at the back of my brain. It's been rolling around. I've been ruminating on this concept for quite a while. For those of you who are not familiar what the fantasy self is, the fantasy self refers to the concept of a self that exists in imaginative or dreamlike scenarios, often reflecting deeper desires and unmet needs. Fantasy can reveal aspects of one's personality and identity, allowing individuals to explore unrealized desires in a non-constraining environment. It serves as a form of communication, helping individuals express emotions and desires without the constraints of reality. While some of these things sound perfectly healthy and normal, and I think they can be, my struggle with the fantasy self has been the overconsumption that I continue to buy specific items as I've been decluttering my closet, taking inventory, digging in and getting very familiar with what I already own. I have found a very common theme in many of my items. They're very formal. I think in the back of my brain, my version of my fantasy self, and this is going to be different for everyone, my version goes clubbing every other night, goes on fancy, elaborate date nights, takes lots of vacations where I need a lot of matching sets, resort wear, and elevated summer clothing. I've also noticed with taking inventory of my closet, I have a lot, an overabundance of summer items, crop tops, tank tops, very provocative, sexy tops that I would wear while I'm on vacation with my husband. That is basically the only time that I'm gonna be in a situation where I would even feel comfortable or want to wear many of these items. It's become glaringly clear to me that I have a fantasy self that I continue to shop for, yet don't ever seem to get to have the opportunities often enough per opportunity, as opposed to the amount of items that I have to possibly wear all of these things. Which brings me to my next question. If you do have a fantasy self that you want to acquire a thing or two here and there, I don't see anything wrong with that. But my issue is I've acquired way too many things for the amount of opportunities I'm going to have to wear them. I only have one body. I can only dress this thing one way per day, or I can only wear these items for one occasion. This has made me want to downsize, dig in, get rid of some things that I probably am never going to wear. They're just taking up precious real estate in my closet. The fantasy self, it's so interesting, and I have found that as I get older, there are less and less opportunities and less of a desire to want to wear those types of things. I love to get dressed up and go to a fancy dinner when we're on vacation. That's once, maybe twice a year. I absolutely go crazy over getting dolled up on New Year's Eve. I love to get super fancy, glitz, glam, sparkles, glitter, sequins, glittery eyeshadow, all the things. I love to do that kind of a thing on New Year's Eve. It's super fun to get dressed up and get really fancy and go celebrate New Year's Eve. But I've looked at the amount of items in my fantasy self section of my closet for formal wear, dresses, things that would fit this category. That's the problem. I have way too many. I am never in my wildest dreams gonna have all of the opportunities that one would need to wear and give these items the love and wear that they deserve. I want to show you a couple of examples. This top, case in point, tag still on, have never worn it. I was drawn to the bright colors. I know exactly why I bought it. It's obviously a summer top. It has a halter neckline, ties around the neck, and a low back. It's a very plunging neckline. So when I put this on, the girls are gonna be right up and in your face. It has a very minimal opportunity for me to wear this because this is not really something that I would even feel comfortable wearing in front of my children on the day-to-day. It's definitely a date night, specifically around my husband type of a top. There are probably dozens like this in my drawers back there. Second example, I bought this for a New Year's Eve. really statement metallic off the shoulder dress. It has ruching on the sides, and then you can cinch it up and adjust the length with the ties on the side. I bought this to wear for New Year's Eve, and I ended up choosing something else. It is still, I've had this for at least a couple of years, maybe longer, hanging out in my closet, unworn. There were no tags on it when I received it. It is brand new, and I've never worn it. And this is the type of dress, even if you have the instance of wear your nicer things for every day, grab that really pretty silk skirt and wear that skirt on a Wednesday. Those are the kind of things I can totally do and I am on board with. I am not going to wear this on a Wednesday. I'm just not. And I have dozens of dresses like this that I've worn once, maybe twice, and I want to get a grip on that. And this has been the hardest realization, to go through and look at all the things I have that I'm not wearing or that I've only worn one time, and then I've ended up moving on and buying something else. So with my 120-day no-buy, all of the reflection that I've done with the 75-day no-buy, there have been many experiments that I have been completing that are helping me to dig deeper and get to the bottom of this behavior. I love having a fantasy version of myself. I don't think there is anything wrong with that. There is something about dreaming and longing and letting your mind be open and run wild with the things that maybe you would love to do that you don't always get to, or you don't get the opportunity to. There's nothing wrong with that. I can't say that enough. But when it is taking over your closet to the point where you have so many items that are sitting unworn, when you get dressed up on the day-to-day and they're just not things that you can put in the rotation because they don't make sense. People would look at me like I was a wackadoo if I went wearing this into the office. It's just not the thing. I can't do that. Maybe some of you could, but for me, it is not a feasible option. It's not something that I'm really even willing to experiment or mess around with. I know you could layer it, you could do all sorts of different things to possibly make this work for a situation. It would be part of my day-to-day life. Each to their own. If you feel like you are willing to want to do that, please do. I don't think that's where I am in my journey. This section in my closet is entirely dedicated for fancy, sparkly, glitzy, holiday type, fancy occasion, really formal event wear. That is a lot of items, and that's just the items that are hanging. I wanted to pull some of these down and show you close-ups. So let's take a little walk here. These are some of the items from that section. I have red, green, black, sequin pants, sequin bomber jacket, black sparkly dress. This top, I have worn this before, but I have to be really careful how I wear it because it does have an open back that ties. So I can't just put the top on and go. I have to wear something over it depending on what I'm wearing it for. We have little black crop tops. Another faux leather black crop top. Both of those unworn, by the way. Sequin, one shoulder puff sleeve top. Shimmery jumper. It is shorts. It was really overwhelming and shocking to see the amount of items and think to myself that I had any reason to want to buy or add anything else. As you can see, I have more than enough. That is just what is hanging in that one section of my closet, which I do feel is a very big, healthy section for the size of closet that I have. What am I gonna do about this fantasy self? That's the next step. In moving forward, after taking inventory, thinking over this topic and realizing, coming to the hard realization of how few opportunities I really have to wear this kind of an item, I think I need to pare down. I'm going to slowly declutter some of these items. I'm going to try everything on, see how I feel about everything. Some of them I do love. I have worn them repeatedly. There are a couple of items. They're my tried and true dresses that I wear to weddings. or a bridal shower or certain things like that. I always love to have something a little bit elevated, a little fancy, so that I have something that does fit the bill when those occasions do come up. Moving forward, the biggest thing I think that I can do to eliminate adding more, having so many items, keeping on with the wish list. I've talked about the wish list. It's such a huge help. It has been one of the best tools that I've implemented this year to help me throughout my journey and to help me with not shopping and overspending, keeping on track with the budget. There have been a couple of mishaps, a couple of slip-ups along the way. I'm gonna allow myself to keep that fantasy version alive in my brain. I don't want to get rid of it yet. I'm not ready. However, I am not going to be adding anything additional for dressy items, fancy occasion wear, thing for summer along the lines of little sexy crop tops or skirts, short shorts, matching sets. I have plenty. So I'm going to continue to use what I have, rewear items, and I know that next time I go on vacation, I will have plenty of things to choose from. Next time we go out to dinner or want to get dolled up, there's no shortage of items to wear. But moving forward, I cannot add anything additional to my closet. I have to put a lid on the purchasing of items for that fantasy self. I no longer can purchase any fantasy self items. If I'm going to buy something, which will not be happening until the end of my no buy, it's gonna be the end of September before I wrap that up and I'm finished. Depending on where I am with the budget, I do have to make up some lost time because of a whoopsie that I had. I overspent money from the budget that had not been earned yet. So I'm still working on recouping that money as I move forward throughout these months. I am earning my budget. I pay myself $5 for every workout, and I pay myself $5 every time that I would like to get takeout or go out to eat, and I choose to eat at home. Those are my trouble areas. The budget and making myself earn it has helped me stay more accountable, and it has made me want to complete my workouts, and it's also made me want to eat at home more often. The system I've put in place seems to be working really well for the most part. July was a little bit of a flop, spoiler alert. You'll learn about that when I do my next budget update. I'm really interested to hear from you all on this topic. Do you have a fantasy self? Tell me about your fantasy self. I really want to know. I want to hear your comments. I love to hear your feedback. It really makes my day. It helps me process and think things over. And I think we could get a really great conversation started in the comments about the fantasy self. That is what I have for you today. I have put a plan in place to get that fantasy self under control. No more purchasing for that girl. She's out there, but she does not need as many items as what I currently have. That fantasy self, she's gonna have to just wear what we already have in the closet because that's what's happening moving forward. That is the plan. Thank you so much for spending a few minutes with me. I hope that this was helpful. If you're new to the channel and you have not been here before, my name's Jessica. I love to talk about style, clothing, fashion, shopping my closet, creating outfit ideas. I do a lot of Pinterest inspiration. I am on a budget year. I have a no buy that I'm working on. I do lots of different challenges and style content. If that sounds good, I hope that you'll subscribe. Until I see you next time, friends, remember, don't forget to be kind. It doesn't cost a thing. Bye for now.